EXE, I was saying, you're not even a real first room player because you're just a bust depot player because that's all you play. And he said, you're not even, and he said, well, I'm a way more real first room player than you are because you play a custom map. Just talking about fucking
custom map, by the way. Custom map, BGW.
Yeah, it's a good custom map though. I'm not even lying. I like the custom map. Are you streaming too? Oh, okay. But I want to see what strat you run, actually. I'm actually very curious.
Damn.
Because I run my own shit that I made. So I'm wondering what Martin intended. I mean, I think he intended for this to be a fucking go-up map. So on a level of playing it on solo, I don't know. I use an SOE. I like SOE. Also, the Russian font for points is the best. That's the best point font. Yeah, I remember watching Ass Weeks play. And yeah, that was my foray into knowing what fast rooms were. Oh wow, your knifing is so nice. That was beautiful. You got the entities counting up too. Well, that's all in game, or you should do an OBS.
Oh, that's Tim. That's Tim.
Oh, okay, interesting.
I just have Tim on like automatically.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really bad at buying the nades if you're though.
Oh, I was thinking I was playing on 60 FOV because I'm fucking watching you play on 1,000,000. So I'm thinking, oh wow, my FOV is still on 60. And my buy not working? But nah. Yeah. Oh yeah, I jump because the trigger is further if you jump. Instead of looking up. So yeah. You play very aggressively. I just get the ward. Especially when I'm talking too, because I have the patience to do that when I'm talking.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
But when I don't, I play more aggressively. On your hit mark, yeah, hit markers are way bigger. Hit indicators, I should say.
Oh, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
That's so stupid. But yeah, that's I play. That's kind of what I play.
I also big ups the cat.
Oh, big ups the cat. Yeah, thank you. That's direct classic.
Oh yeah, I need. I messaged Stretz because I wanted to test
the
what'd you call it? The FPS jump height. So he did it on Redacted. Redacted gets a lower FPS, way lower FPS than Steam and Plutonium. So I said, okay, I wanna test the he only did it to 129, and so Gaming Ghost was saying, you notice how at the light 120s it starts going up again, and so there's this trend of zigzags of the FPS where it goes up to 216 to 214, then drops back down, but the zigzags get longer, so it's just these massive V shapes going up and down, and so 40 is the highest, but then, you know, next to that it dips down and then it goes up, dips down, but the dips are bigger. The chasms are the chasms go lower and they're wider too. And so what?
Oh, that makes sense.
And so what Game of Ghost was saying, I wonder if back at 180 it just peaks up again. I'd be very curious to know.
Really interesting.
That nobody is testing, unfortunately.
What did Stress say about it?
He didn't message me back, so I don't know if that. Yeah, I definitely wanna run some tests because.
But wait, I don't know if you noticed how it's like point maxing. So on these custom maps, a really important thing for playing faster is point maxing, because the drops are like weird because you're starting at the beginning at like 10, and so you want to be drops maxing to play as fast as possible in early rounds.
Yeah. I mean, I've been playing myself, so I haven't been watching. so.
Oh, gotcha. But yeah, drop maxing is key. Like when you get that insta, like knife the fuck out of the zombies. Yeah. On round 10.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. I was just thinking about full on aggressive.
You want to be maxing. Like think about like Shang.
Yeah, knifing the monkeys.
Yeah,
do you see,
exactly.
Because I was watching EXE play, there was this guy in the chat, and he was telling me about all this. Always telling him about the new setup people do to maximize instas where they get the Skull Crusher too, and they pop that. I didn't even know about that. That's crazy.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so you save 5 minutes to 50. It's just
Whoa.
that much, but yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
That's a lot of time to save. That's not some, small minuscule, bullshit. Oh,
No,
this,
no, that's insane optimization.
yeah. It's such a basic one too. Oh, Shanklies are still finding stuff out.
Also, think of maxes as like, oh, like awesome. Now I can fucking throw whatever nades I have and then also have the max. Like, all that stuff is like so
Oh,
important.
I think about it as in, I have 96 in my M14 now. Time to watch it reload again. Yeah. I don't want that. I hate that 96. I just want to spam by ammo. But I do like maxes because when I got one of my 26s, I didn't pick up the max, and then I had to play the insta with M14, which is not that fun. And I died doing it because I was not used to it.
Makes sense.
Oh my god. Unfortunate. Yeah, it's like that. But yeah. I was reading the you sent me I didn't realize how long the bureaucracies thing that you sent me. Well, I don't know if they talk about multiple topics. Was it Jacob Geller?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, I was reading that about the bureaucracies, which is very interesting. He was basically saying at the beginning, he was basically making the argument that okay, it's usually right wingers that talk about sort of bureaucracy, and I'm thinking, yeah, that's true, but in the UK it's red tape. We call it red tape over there.
Oh yeah, yeah, the nanny state.
Yeah, and so well, I think the United States is a little bit different, but usually it's in okay, well, there's this red tape that you have to get through, and we can what do you call it, optimize. This is sort of usually used as an argument for deregulation, but they're critiquing bureaucracies. That's what they're doing, and so yeah, I've only really heard right wing critiques of bureaucracies. I've never really heard of a left wing. I didn't even, in my head, I wasn't even really think, and because it's an avenue for a lot of the times deregulations, or for me it was a Brexit argument. It was
yeah. The Brussels bureaucrats are.
Yeah, exactly right. And so I'm of course viewing it as a very negative sort of bullshit thing. And left wing voices don't talk about that. And so yeah, I don't know the I'm intrigued to read more, but it's just so long.
Yeah,
so I'm taking my time with it.
Well, I saw you talk to Bagsy, actually, funny enough. I think he'd be the kind of guy that would be like, kind of have like critiques of bureaucracy and like the state. I know he's like all about this weird like pseudo-political philosophy, Nietzsche kind of stuff, like
Nietzsche,
all that kind of stuff. But the last man of history or whatever, like that kind of shit. But it's like, I think he has the same, like, I think you have the same sort of interest in critiques of like larger bureaucratic stuff. And I think Bagsy's like fundamentally like an anarchist. I think he's just like an anarchist kind of guy. I think he has like different ways of like philosophizing like his anarchism along like a more Christian whatever way.
No, he's definitely
like,
not a Christian at all.
Or whatever the fuck he was saying about pseudo racism and like fucking Richard Spencer.
Yeah, Richard Spencer, yeah.
Western values, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, Western values, yeah, whatever those are.
Whatever the fuck you want to call it. Yeah, usually it just means Christian. But like, okay, so that's even funnier. He's like a Christian values guy. He doesn't even have. Anyway, but I think he'd be very amenable to those kind of critiques based on what you were saying and like what he was saying.
Okay. I mean, I don't even have a critique of bureaucracy. I would need to read more in terms of I'm not really sure in terms of what there's a how have bureaucracies sort of well, because I play on Windows mode. When you ended the stream, I can see it in the background. So I play 16 by 900, but on a 1920 by 1080 monitor. Anyway,
gotcha.
yeah, I don't really have a critique of bureaucracies, or I don't see the sort of. It's one of those imagination things I was telling you about in terms of education. It's just that I didn't know. I wasn't told in my terms on what and how I understand the world, why it's important to get an education, blah blah blah. And so I am actually intrigued if you can color my imagination. so I can understand, okay, what does an alter, how do we reduce bureaucracies? But even on a level of, okay, why are bureaucracies bad? How do they suppress good things that?
Individuality and like
Mm-hmm,
agency. Yeah, it's
mm-hmm,
basically a matter of like this. Like a big thing about that bureaucracy thing I sent you is like just the stupidity that it kind of brings about is this like this rigidity of like, for example, like the David Graeber guy, he has this like quote about his his mom who had a stroke and needing
mm-hmm,
to get her like financial assistance, and like the criteria required a notary to verify that like not only was the paper signed properly but was signed like by the right person at the right time, and like both the notary and the banks had different like standards for what exactly it meant to do it right. And so the
mm-hmm,
banks constantly were telling him he did stuff wrong, but what he was doing was going to a notary that was telling him to do things wrong, and the bank was like, oh no, you can't be doing it that way, like that's not the right way to
mm-hmm,
operate this. And so that's what his critique of bureaucracy is. It's like this kind of stupidity that it brings upon
mm-hmm.
people of like, my mom had a his mom died before he got the assistance for his mom. You know
Oh,
what I mean?
okay.
Like that's, you know what I mean? It's like she's literally, the bureaucracy stalled him because it had requirements of a mom that just went through a fucking stroke that
Mm-hmm,
made no sense, and that he would go through their system and have them do different fucking papers, but all those papers had different agreements about like exactly the way to do it. And so he was just stuck in this really stupid system. By the way,
mm-hmm.
16 flawless, by the way. Now let's go.
Oh, you got 16 plus now?
I'm already, yeah, I have,
Yeah,
well, I
yeah.
bought quick, but I'm 60 flawless.
Nice, nice, nice.
But yeah, like that's like, but you know what I mean? Like that's what he's kind of talking about, like the stupidity of bureaucracy is like any normal person who's like, oh, your mom had a stroke. Yeah, like obviously she's not signing this document.
Mm-hmm,
Your mom had a stroke.
mm-hmm, yeah. And then, yeah. It's very precise too in terms of the requirements now. I don't know why.
Yeah,
Obviously I don't know the ins and outs of why they're so specific. I'm sure there's an argument for it. But on the level of
it's
someone dying,
theoretically about identity fraud.
hmm but then somebody dying because of you trying to prevent identity fraud. Yeah, I can see.
I know. What are we talking? Like, what are we protecting at a certain point?
Yeah, exactly. Identity or
Or
what?
existence.
Yeah.
Like, wow, my identity was stolen. I don't exist anymore.
Yeah.
Oh no. And again, when you think about what actually is a problem, it's that identity theft. So identity theft is solved by banks just taking the hit. Like someone stole identity, they purchased a product. Okay, well the bank is going to cover that in your account. So you basically, you don't have to lose any money. The bank is losing that money. So the reason the bank really cares about identity fraud and protection and all that stuff is because it affects their bottom line. They, from their perspective, the system worked because he didn't, like, even though he didn't get his mom the care she needs or is entitled to, the system worked in that it wasn't a fake person getting that assistance. So the system is set up so that it's more important that a fake person doesn't get the assistance than it is that a real person does get the assistance. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that is a backwards system. That is a system that is not effective and able to give the care that people need. And that, and another point is that it makes you feel stupid. Like in bureaucracy, you have to fill out all these forms in these exact ways, in these exact points of time, in these exact methods. And if you fuck up even a slight amount, the entire process needs to be restarted. Like that's a big part of bureaucracy. Is like it makes people stupid. They have to do things in very specific ways that only make sense within their own systems. And we spend so much time in these systems figuring out the exact ways to do things bureaucratically. Like that's a big critique too. Is the time waste of it.
So when you're telling me about taxes in America, where no, somebody told me about this. I don't know if it was you, but during the Trump admin, they sort of, maybe it was part of the US. No, not. I mean, USAID was part of this, but it was the Doge
Budget.
bullshit.
Yeah.
There was a free way if you met certain requirements to file your taxes, but now now you have to. Oh, I think this was Demons. I think this was Demons that was telling me this. Where because of the gutting of that Doge did, now you have to well, not that you now have to do it, right? But there are people that were using the sort of free alternative that the government provided, and now you are. He was basically saying it was a way to funnel
money to tax companies.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because so the way that it works is that like these companies have lobbied. So like the way American taxes work theoretically, there's so many layers to it. But for the average person like me and Demons, like the way it works is that the government already knows how much money that you owe them in taxes, and so you need to go through the process of looking at your income statements and stuff like this, and figure out what that number is, and then you send that number, and then if they have a different number, you can get audited. You can, like there's serious consequences for that. So there's a lot of tax software that exists to do this process for you. But in the process, people get things like tax refunds. Like, so for example, the government might realize that previously a number that they told you was actually wrong. You pay that number, you actually overpaid, and so you actually get money back. There's all sorts of things where if you have certain things about you, sort of discounts, deductions you can take, the government can end up owing you money. And so the tax software exists so that it can capture a percentage of that money consumers can get back from the government. And so oftentimes we'll have these free versions, but if you're a person in a bracket where you might have these like available, refunds there, they'll charge you for that. And that you will be charged for getting money that you're already owed back from the government. So theoretically, the government, and it just has the ability to tell you how much you owe it. Like it just has the ability to say and it already does your taxes for you. It's just that you have to do this second process bureaucratically of filling out everything correct and making sure it matches the government's numbers so that you can then pay the right tax numbers. And it's a system set up by tax companies and lobbied for by Intuit TurboTax and all these tax companies that are always advertising and they advertise during tax season because they've created a system that makes problems for people that they then solve. Right? Their product cycle is the fact that you can't just get the number you're supposed to pay, or that your employer doesn't just tell you. Like there are some people that know how much money you owe in taxes, and they just don't tell you, and you have to figure it out basically by filling out these things in the proper way. And again, that system, that setup is about funneling money to insurance to tax companies that do your taxes for you. And the money they're trying to get is the potential refund you could get. They're trying to get a percentage of that refund that you get by doing your taxes. Whereas they offer free tax services if you're below a certain income level. So it's like they'll act like they're we're not charging poor people to do their taxes. See, we fucking give off free. But it's like those people that give off free tax software to, they don't even really get that many refunds, and so they don't care if they charge them or not. That's like not. It doesn't affect their business because their business isn't about that, right? So yeah, and then but at the higher level, it's even more ironic because the government has actually no idea how much certain billionaires do or do not owe or do or do not have. So it gets to a whole other level of like they can kind of just tell the government how much money they fucking have, and the government has to just take it. So you know what I mean? Like, is that interesting? It kind of gets to the opposite level at the highest levels of government, or the highest levels of wealth.
Yeah, that's really bad. Isn't that unique in the developed world in terms of you having to calculate your own taxes? I swear, so many European states allow you to. They just do it. They just deduct the value.
Yeah, they just do it because they know it. Like the U.S. government also knows it. It's not like different in the United States. The U.S. government knows, just like the European governments know, how much you owe them. The European governments have just had a digitization and a practice of therefore then just doing it for you rather than adding these extra. Like in America, it's like, ooh, think of the money we can make if we added these extra steps and bureaucracies that we could charge people for. In Europe, it was much more like, well, we have the system, we want it to work as fast as possible, so here's how we're gonna have it set up. Like it was very different. And it's just because America is such a massive fucking... Wait, what?
It's at 16 bullets, by the way.
Phased. Yeah. I died on 18. Okay. It was my first down, but it was the down plus, like, it was on the first horde, so I didn't get the second. Horde. Oh.
So I have to be 18.
Yeah, you gotta be 18. Well, my first try technically was 11, you saw, but my second try was 18, but... I died anyway. All right. But that's like... But you know what I mean? Like that's an interesting thing, I think, in America. It's like you see a process that you can charge money for, and you don't think, well, there's a way we can set this up where it just works. It's like, no, what if there's a way you could set it up where it works and the people who control it make a shitload of money? Like that's the ideal thing we're all taught to do. And like
I wasn't even thinking about the people that develop the bureaucracies profiting, because it feels like, at least the way bureaucracies are portrayed in media, it doesn't even really seem full profit. It seems so this soulless sort of no, sorry, the I'm trying to think of the result of a industrial society and post-industrial societies. This is the sort of effect of these societies. Oh, actually, this is something really interesting that he was talking about in terms of the comparisons between the United Kingdom and France during the pre-revolution in 1700s, where there was less bureaucracy in in that society, and how the bureaucracy sort of justified themselves. I specifically, I would have to reread that part now, but I thought that was very interesting. This sort of, because we think of sort of the absolutist French state as, this very, I mean, it is a very totalitarian state, but the metrics that we use to even judge these things is that we're never really applying that to bureaucracies, which, a lot of these standards aren't even really neutral. It's very interesting. So that's cleared the blind spot for me.
It's interesting how little time we spend thinking about the impact of these on our lives. Like, we think about all these automating of these tasks, like, that we actually probably should be involved in, like automating work, automating thought, automating like, things that we should be doing ourselves, automating the production of writing and things. Whereas we don't think about automating bureaucratic tasks that require basically no thought and require and only exist because people profit off there being these problems and hoops we have to jump through. Like, that's the only reason these things exist. So isn't that so interesting that we focus on automating all these things that, like, before we actually had control over and we actually could make money from and profit from ourselves, but that's being taken away from us. And what's not being taken away from us automative wise is things that people profit from keeping us stuck with these problems, I don't know.
Curious.
As already said, the world works in suspicious ways, right? I think it's a good, good quote.
Pound 7. Oh, and Wilcox in my chat. Drops maxing. Yeah, I just realized that that's the whole looks maxing thing too. To me, it just sounded very natural in terms of we use maxing just in gaming in general. So it's a very native term for us. But I was watching these two ladies. Oh my god! I mean, to talk about these ladies. They run a sort of mom's podcast, and I generally like their attitude. And honestly, they were really well researched on the sort of because I think there's some sort of medical profession in terms of the side effects of all these different things. They were very much well researched on that, so I can tell that wasn't a blind spot for them. But in terms of the culture, and they, they were sort of almost on the money with where looks maxing came from, which is like, oh, it's kind of like a video game term where you sort of, they were talking about min maxing, but they were saying that that was maxing. But I mean, it's funny because maxing is min maxing, but it's just called maxing. It's not called min maxing.
Exactly,
so they are right in where it comes from, but it comes from the term min maxing, just to be pernicious there. But the early on in the video, they start talking about nicknames. How this clavicular guy, and he has a nickname, and it's from the clavicle or whatever the part of the neck is called. I don't give a fuck.
Clavicular.
And
clavicular.
Clavicle, yeah, whatever. She was saying that isn't it funny that people are coming up with nicknames for themselves, and she was saying how this is like another podcast topic in general, and I'm thinking, wait, what? And then she had an anecdote of her grandma that came up with her own nickname. I don't call them nicknames because that's belittling. My name's Fleur. Most people call me Fleur. That's not a nickname. Fuck.
A nickname is Nicholas. Nick is a nickname for Nicholas, right? A tag is a self-created identity that embodies more than just what your government name is. It's a different thing.
100%, yeah. So sort of calling it nicknames, and then just having no concept of people have their own identities. And she was basically, at least what was implied is that this is like the most egomaniac thing, and this is another problem with itself, or a symptom of another problem. I'm just saying, shut the fuck up. I know you don't come from our societies, but you don't understand. But on a human level, you must understand how people want to use their own names and don't want to use some like Mickey Mouse Bible names like Joseph. So I'm not using that name. Shut the fuck up. That's a nonsense name to be walking around. I'm embarrassed to walk around with a back of the Colt can to a name that anyone has. You're at an assembly and then people say, okay, is Joe here?
Suck to have just a generic name, man. That must really suck for other people to have a really generic name.
Yeah, very fortunate that you didn't get a back of the Colt can to a name.
Yeah.
Alas, I did, and so
Alas.
of course, I much prefer the name Fleur. Funnily enough,
Like their podcast isn't just called their names discussing topics
mhm.
podcast. Like I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And this is what I was talking about the distinct because these are women, and I do notice that, and I made this sort of what you call it observation before, which is yeah, women tend to use their government names on their even on their sort of on a place where you can make your own identity, but a lot of male communities use their own sort of custom names that they've sort of emancipated themselves out of this fake nonsense Bible names or other back of the cult cancer names. I don't care where it's from, like Mohammed. I guess that's Quran. Yeah, I wouldn't want to be walking around with a name that everyone else has. Just on a level of just being able to identify who I am and particular aspects of me. I want that to be existing on a different level, but also I don't want it to come from a million-year-old book. Sorry, million-year-old book. It's not even a million years old, but
Yeah, yeah. Metaphorically.
no, I'm not. No, I'm not even gonna call it a million years old because I mean it's old, but you're not that valid. You
Oh
guys
yeah,
are,
yeah. It's not like a timeless truth. I think you were saying
exactly. Yeah,
transcending. Yeah,
bullshit. Yeah, you guys are new relative to your.
I mean, they don't even believe they're just been around for a million years. They'd say it's like 6,000 years, right? So it can't even be
curious.
that. Yeah, so, yeah. Funny.
Fucking idiots. I mean, very
Everyone
uncurious
has
people.
different beliefs.
Yeah, you just need to
I have no
respect that.
judgments. Yep, and I have no judgments over different beliefs. I have my beliefs, which I think are right, but if other people have different beliefs that I think are as wrong, hey, they can say those things, and I just won't hear them.
Yeah, plain nonsense.
It's like, wow, good thought process.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's why anthropology is so fucking sick, because it's actually people who would be of the mindset of like, well, actually, what does it mean for people on the internet to have these names, or they would care more about questions of culture and like meaning making as a practice. Like I think that's why anthropology classes are so sick, because you actually start to think in those ways of like, well, how does this community actually develop their own sense of meaning and understanding and stuff like that? Like,
yeah, and yeah, the lack of because I understand that they're not from these communities, but it's just you don't have you don't question the name that was given to you, and you don't want to form something that's outside of your familial context. Maybe they were just closer to their family, so that was never a thing. Because I know people who have, my middle name's my grandfather's name and blah blah blah, and I'm thinking that's just cringe.
Oh, would no one use, which is so interesting, because like no one ever uses their middle name. So whenever people will like say their middle name, they'll always be like, oh, it actually has this really specific meaning. But it's like, that's so weird. You put the name that is the most meaningful name as the name you never use. Like that. That's so weird in so many ways. Like.
Yeah, very stupid. Yeah, it's actually really weird how middle names exist. I don't really quite understand what middle names are and what their historical or historically how they fit into current day, because
not either.
Historically, I'm not hearing the use of middle names ever in terms of like dynastical politics or whatever the fuck. No, so what is this artifact? What the fuck? I have no reference for this. And they could be cool in terms of
there could be a reason for it.
And I'm not saying could as in I could potentially find out what their original meaning was. I'm saying it could be incorporated in a cool way in terms of past a certain age you can choose your name or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Instead, it's just another name that people give you that nobody uses. It's hilariously redundant. But we could find a very creative way. Maybe it's just both of your parents' surnames or whatever, and actually have some sort of more like egalitarian way instead of it's just one parent that gets to impose their name on the child. It's kind of feels bullshit to me.
It does, yeah.
But no one has really even thought. I don't know how people don't think about names. That doesn't make any sense to me. I really appreciate these online gaming communities that much prefer going under different names. And I bet part of that also is just anonymity, but also it's just a creative pursuit. The creativity of making your own name and not seeing that also, I wonder if that's a Western sort of, I'm going to say Anglosphere thing, because the names are, I call them akin to dead metaphors. The Japanese names. I told you the creation of, I did some wordplay and, this is a cool nick. And the wordplay just does not exist in English, where people don't use, concepts that exist and sort of try and align it with, particular characters, blah, blah, blah. It's actually kind of weird to call yourself out after a noun in English in comparison to Japanese. And I wonder if that would, if names just being dead, akin to dead metaphors, I wonder if that's also why, a lot of people get really confused by the whole, oh, this is some like egotistical thing, shouldn't other people, because their argument was that, using the anecdote of the grandma, shouldn't other people be calling you names? Shouldn't your grandchildren be the ones that name you a particular thing? I'm saying, fuck no. I've had so many names that are named after names given to me by other people. I should have my own. I should, somebody
By right.
Something that's used so often by other people. I should have my own sort of will on the on the way people call me. Yeah, fuck you. So that was really disappointing. But I watched this looks maxing video in terms of the origins of sort of looks maxing, and I think I linked it to you, and it was a very curious video because it was basically making the argument that I was making in terms of Japanese. It's how the Japanese learning community is. I was telling you that it was, you look at all these free resources that exist, and people just want you to have these free resources. They want you to have the resources,
yeah,
irrespective of how much money you have. And
exactly.
Looks maxing was at an earlier point before it became way more mainstream. It was exactly like that, which is really funny to me. When it's just this young male community, and obviously so many philosophical disagreements with this community, but on a level of, wow, it's really cool that you kind of want to have this affordable way to get this, and you have guides to get all of these things, and so cool. You want to make them free. Yeah, that's a fucking sick and this is why the whole young male thing is to me is complete bullshit, is because on some level we are the same. Young men are definitely in that consumerist cycle. They're in all these other cycles, but in some weird way they're disconnected from this, because I guarantee you we are the biggest pirates. We are more against the hive mind in comparison to other subcultures. I think there is. I wonder if there is some sort of threat. I mean, I know you talked about these sorts of articles talking about this, decentralized young men gamers, blah blah blah. And yeah, I'm very curious. I'm very curious if that goes goes as far as I think it could be, in terms of, well, they actually see the sort of lack of wanting to not only just a bunch of people that are highly motivated, that are not necessarily patriotic for a government, because you were saying it was a military college that was writing about that. That's probably the angle that they took, but I'm talking about more in terms of like a consumerist sort of, who are the people making these piracy softwares, who are the people that are sort of disseminating things. You're talking to IRL normies, and they say, oh, I've got these streaming platforms. You're talking to anime watchers, Kiss Anime, fucking Zoro, and then they have the next one. I forgot which one it was called. EXE already said, oh, you don't know the next one? Yeah, let me give the next one. We're talking about Goku and stuff. All these, pirate websites that just copy and paste of each other, and that are, super functional. You can make you can make accounts on that, and it will track with your MAU. Yeah, these websites are fucking super decked out. That's my point too.
Super OD.
That's, yeah, exactly. And I was making the argument that, isn't it funny that it should be about the function. It shouldn't be about the IPs that you can hoard. What the fuck is that? That's a completely broken IP system. If you can have a really good website, but because they don't have access to IPs, then what'd you call it? Sorry, really titled up on 16. Need to concentrate. Yeah, I got the hold up. Okay, nice.
It needs to be about the ability to watch this. Your streaming platform should be engineered to be the most complete library of streamable content that is relevant to your audience you want to serve as possible. Fuck IP, fuck these other questions. Exactly. Like, make them as complete a feature set and good experience as possible. That's what should be done. Like, you want more people playing your game, make it so they can get that game for as low of friction as possible, as cheaply as possible, as easily as possible, and as consistently as possible. Like, that's what you would do. That's what we do. It's like, it's not, but I think what's interesting is people don't think of it ideologically. They think of it like, oh, this is some way that I watched anime. But they don't think to themselves of like, yeah, but why don't I approach other things like this? Like, why don't I approach things beyond anime as the question of like, you know what I mean? A question of like, what is the easiest and cheapest way I can get this? So that there are like, for other things, it's a matter of, oh, I want to get the most expensive thing, the most valuable thing, the most coveted thing, rather than I want to have a way to consistently make things my own as cheaply and as efficiently and consistently as possible. I think. I don't know.
Oh yeah. I think it is a
It's really
broad.
that it stays trapped in anime, like that mindset.
Yeah, I think it partly is. I definitely see that, but it does expand more. It's not just trapped in anime, but it is. I would say it is trapped in general in gaming concepts, and this is what I found really sad. So this is EX seems telling me about Yaka and how he got into perfume stuff and he sort of abandoned the whole anime figures. And I'm thinking, oh, that's exactly like how you described the end situation to me. And he was saying, oh yeah, it's funny because I was thinking about the same thing. And so we sort of connected to that thing. But there is this weird thing where okay, but there is this sort of internal gaming culture that people exist in. But then when they go into the real into real life and they try and acclimate, they try and mold themselves into how society works like that. And I wonder if it's the same thing where there is there is a general sort of piracy stance on the internet in these communities, but then there is this sort of tension that exists with in these communities now. Obviously, it doesn't just this is not just about piracy, but it's just about a general sort of hostility towards general sort of hobbyist, very niche, sort of very autistic engagements with particular things, and these things are killed systematically by the sort of dominant culture. And I wonder if that's why these this piracy culture doesn't get extended outside of anime. I don't think it's limited to anime because you see it with all sorts of other gaming context stuff too, where it's big emulator culture
Fit
too.
girl. Fit girl.
Would you say? Oh, fit girl. Yeah,
Fit girl.
Yeah, where it's that's just the standard to play. Or if you're playing on that wasn't a question. No one's going. So at least as far as I remember, people won't go. So this piracy thing, of course. And I was telling you about remember when when you couldn't play online because you needed to connect to the server first and the servers were down, and everyone just went. It wasn't a discussion we're having beforehand. Everyone just said fuck you. Fuck you. We're not having a discussion about this. There is no discussion to be had. We should have a functional game, and we haven't had functional games for the longest time. And so, let's
fix it. Let's change it. Let's fix it. Yeah, exactly. I think that mindset of like, oh, we don't have this thing that we fucking should have. Let's get that thing. Like, I would be I'm not interested in perfume, but what I would be interested in is people who could replicate perfume compounds and formulas. Like reverse engineer them and then tell people how to make them. I think it'd be fucking sick if it wasn't just about collecting pretty bottles that smelled good and made women horny, but was about actually the the engineering of the chemicals that goes into making certain flavors and smells. Certain smells. And if you think about how painters work, right? A lot of paint and paint mixing and color theory is all about this. It's all about like knowing how to make a certain color appear using different pigments. And I think like, again, I think it's totally possible that they're parts of the perfume community, because the most things that I see in the perfume community are people who are just literally, they have like a wall of bottles that look pretty. They have ones that they like that are the top
brand
5
names.
perfumes they
Brand
have.
names.
They power rank the perfumes into their favorite ones. This is a 5-star perfume. This is a 2-star perfume. And they rank those perfumes based on what context they'd get it. Like, this is a perfume you'd wear on a date. This is a perfume you'd wear to a funeral. This is a perfume you'd wear all these different things. They think about those things. I don't see them talking about making perfumes that don't exist. Oh, this perfume used to exist. Let's try to recreate it using the descriptions of it. Try to imagine what they made of perfumes of back in the day. Recreate using those type of things. Like, that's what painters do. That's what artists do. I don't see that in the perfume community. So to me, it just seems like a very consumerist community because it's just part of this product cycle. But it doesn't seem like they're doing the next gamer step, which would be, we like this, we don't have it, let's create it, right? This perfume doesn't get sold anymore. It turns into a rare collector object. It doesn't become a recipe that now new people can make. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's why the gaming community is something so beautiful. It needs to be gate-kept and protected. It needs to be these, game makers, mod makers, emulator guys, pirate scrapers, where they're scraping, all these cool sorts of things that we all want to play. Sorry, I'm stuck on an insane 18. Hold on.
No.
Yeah, we want to. we want to play these cool games that are no longer available to us, and people hosting sub and sort of reverse engineering the ability to sort of play these games, and that's cool. I want that to happen. I see these other communities that are just completely uninterested in doing all of these things, and I'm thinking I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be walking around with Bible names, or names from Mickey Mouse sort of context that everyone else has, and people. It's funny because I'm doing some level of like cultural chauvinism where I'm like, oh, I'm so much better than these things. But yeah, I'm recognizing particular things that I don't like about IRL society. That is just so I shouldn't say IRL society because there are a bunch of sub niches or whatever, but sort of the mainstream
But the
dominant
typical
culture.
mainstream world you're forced to live in,
Yeah,
yeah.
that society is it's on a level of just pathetic. They would be
Unthinking,
having
uncreative individuality. It's non-creative individuality, right? It's like it's people seeking individuality in a world where they can't actually create their own individuality, so they have to settle for buying it. It's like really stark.
Yeah, I don't like it. So yeah, big ups to the gaming community.
Oh yeah, big ups to agency, big ups to self. Yeah, creating communities.
Yeah.
Yeah, self-actualization. There's a great there's this is a great little meme, but I think it's very piracy connected. Of like, I'll see people kind of like just chill, like dumb people, be like, "Oh, sick, bro, you got a fucking site? Like, I can watch it on. That's sick." And then I'll see people who are like really smart, who are coming up with like Recrox people who know how to get all the sites, who know how to get all the torrents, who know how to do all the back end, know the like different types of audio files, and they're also thinking, "Yeah, I should fucking do more." But whereas the kind of average person is like, "I need to wait for the exact right time when I'm allowed to watch this thing, and and when I do that thing, it's gonna, oh boy, it's gonna be great." And I think that's the word. I think that's the trained way to think of things. And I think it's the worst way to think of things. I think it's better to think of, I want to watch it, I want to get it. Like, don't get so smart you forget that's how we all are, which is I want it, I'm gonna get it. That's how we all start out. Don't get like educated right up to the point where you lose that and are like, well, I need to only get what I'm allowed to have. Like that's
actually bullshit.
It's insane. Yeah. It's bullshit. I love the idea of Santa hates poor kids.
Oh yeah,
that's the Santa guy just fucking hates poor kids.
Yeah. Why is that a lie people tell again? Because I think that is highly at least
I know how big that was for you.
Well, when I found out about the tooth fairy was fake, that was sort of a spiral for me in terms of okay, I'm an atheist now in terms of, oh, this God shit is not real because you're just telling me lies. But then that extended further into, oh, all the history that you're telling me, there's no way people lived as kings and stuff. This is insane. This doesn't make any sense to me because I had no concept. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, who's writing this shit? That reads like the Dragon Quest games I'm playing on my DS. What the fuck are you talking about? This looks really insane, and that's a world that's insane. You're playing as knights and stuff. I thought that was fan fiction. No, it's not fan fiction. It's actually something that actually happened, and it's actually really interesting. It took me a very long time to break out of the this is sort of like worthless sort of bullshit. All throughout school, I just did not care about history. I didn't care about engaging in it. And that's the problem with sort of, you don't have this, oh, this Santa thing is not real, but everything else is. No, it's something that, at least for me, spreads far and wide. Your whole person's indicted, not just the one sort of thing that you told me. So it's a crazy thing that why do people think it's even acceptable to tell these lies? Because on a level of just if you're the adult, you're just undermining your own sort of trust with your child. It's
exactly.
Incredibly stupid. So it's a big deal.
No, it's fun though. They sit on. Let me find this. There's a funny. It's like it's fun though. They sit on Santa's lap and all that stuff. Like
Yeah, very fun. Yeah, and then you're the poor kid. And it's not so fun for you.
And you're like, wow, I guess my family was really bad again this year because all my friends have all these cool gifts, but I don't. It's weird.
Yeah,
I just love that concept so much. It's like, yeah, that is kind of crazy to tell people they get presents based on how good they are, and then you have these poor kids that don't get shit, and it's like, wow, I guess we were bad again this year. Like that's fucked up. Like what?
Yeah.
Also, this is me. This is like when I was 4 on Santa's lap.
Oh yeah.
Have you see my reaction to it? being on Santa's lap, I was not liking what was going on.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that Damien? Brown and blonde hair.
Yeah, it's funny, right? Exactly. It's my sister. I was actually blonde as a kid.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I was blonde as a kid. My dad would used to be blonde too. It's like I don't know why. My sister just kept being blonde. She just stayed blonde. But yeah, like my hair just turned brown for some reason.
I think that's actually what happened to my sister. Because I remember her being blonde, but now she's brunette.
Yeah, exactly.
Curious. I actually wonder why.
But even as a kid, I'm like, dude, this I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Who the fuck is this guy? Like, that I'm. And I remember him smelling. The only thing I remember about that is that he like smelled weird. I'm just imagining the Santas getting drunk behind the wall, coming out smelling like alcohol. Hey kid, come on my lap. Like just like how weird that is. We're setting this whole thing up. Like, what is going on? Like,
yeah, I didn't do any of that Santa lap bullshit. It wasn't really a big thing for me. The Santa thing was more of the Tooth Fairy. The Tooth Fairy really fucked me up. Yeah, I like the Tooth Fairy. I was really into the Tooth Fairy and teeth coming out, and then putting it. We put it in an envelope.
Sure, you were sure. A nar. You're like, whoa, different experience. No teeth. What the fuck is this? Like.
Yeah, just sort up.
I love getting into like having the like one tooth missing, straw through it kind of thing. Like I love that.
The what?
It's so fun. Like when I was a kid, when I'd lose my teeth, I'd put like a straw through where the teeth was lost, and like drink like with the straw going through. I thought it was the coolest thing. Like I had teeth there, and now I can like put a straw through, and there's no teeth there. I'm like, this is sick.
What? Oh,
I don't know why I got so obsessed.
Yeah, that's
I don't know. It's mind blowing for me as a kid, or like. I was always just like, what? Like, just like, my tongue was always fucking licking wherever that was, because it just.
Oh yeah,
like,
my tongue.
Whoa, what is this? Like, this is so weird. Like. Also, the Tooth Fairy though, kind of also an anti-poor thing. It's like the tooth. It's like some kids are getting a lot of money for the Tooth Fairy. Some kids are getting nothing. Like.
Oh, I'd get actual gifts.
Okay, I just got like $5 for tooth.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I got full-on gifts, but it wasn't no Christmas present. It was poor. That's why.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know it was a money thing over there, or maybe it was a money thing over here, but it was just distorted or whatever. Because some of the things I know are distorted, and the actual thing don't make any sense. So for me, there's this saying, CBA, can't be asked.
Yeah.
So I say I can't be asked to do something. Yeah, that makes sense to me. But apparently it's can't be asked, as in an arse. To me, that doesn't make any sense. Actually.
Wait, what?
Yeah,
like I can't be asked to move my ass to go do the thing.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. So EXE saying no, your version doesn't make any sense.
I can't be asked. It's asked. It's asked. It's like I can't. You could ask me, and I still wouldn't do it because you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Anyway.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So my perturbed version makes way more sense than whatever the bullshit thing that people are saying. I don't believe in any of that bullshit.
Some people think bums are unclean. They're like, bro, I can't be asked. Like, I don't know. It's fucking crazy. That doesn't make sense. But yeah, I could hear also with the accent, or just different accents, like it could get kind of twisted in that way of like,
Yeah. Hold on, let me put myself on D&D. I don't want to hear. Actually, not into that. It's actually not fun to listen to. I hate all that bullshit. Wait, hold on. Let me look at my things. I wrote a few things about the actual document. I kind of stopped writing it. It was what do you call it? So you were talking about in terms of the dominant, the person dominant in the culture is not that interested in finding out the lower person, but vice versa. The lower person is kind of has to find out what the dominant person thinks about them. I don't know how much on some level 100%, but on another level it's just when it comes to at least this this article was like super scientific, but it was there wasn't an interest in for me it would just be okay, I'm kind of interested in how you navigate, let's say the BO1 community as a woman, so a community or the Minecraft community. These are basically, I only talk to men in these communities. I've hardly talked to any others. Like Becca, maybe Sketchy, these are the only women I've talked to that play zombies, right? And so you're told dominated by men, and that obviously completely is going to color your experience in the community, whether you're not affiliated with the dominant group. And to me, that's interesting. That's interesting to think about. But in terms of, no one really, at least from what the article was saying, no one's really thinking about it in terms of a hobby thing, in terms of doing what you normally do. Because I assume everyone has hobbies. Why the fuck are you not thinking about the implications of, doing what you normally do, but whatever? But also the sex thing too. Men being sort of completely uninterested in
imagining the female perspective. Yeah.
I wonder what that is, because I was saying that it was. I wonder if that's a sort of obviously the homophobia aspect, but also the a lot of the times the woman's position in the bedroom is of that more of a submissive role, and then not wanting to take that submissive role because they imagine the role like that. It doesn't have to be like that. They could be, a more dominant woman, but they don't even. But because they're so stuck in the gender roles, they're completely they can't. And I wonder if that's just a problem with the assignment too.
I think there's also a weird thing where people will judge you for having thoughts in the first place. Like, you are judged if you're the kind of person that has thoughts in the first place about a thing. It's like, who would think that? Who would, like that whole like Alpha Centauri thing, which like, who would even, like the judge? Why are you even saying that? Like that. I think that was a big like that exact kind of thing of like. So it's like, if you're a guy, it's like, most of the time, if you were to ever bring up considerations or just ever think about out loud with other guys the female perspective in bed, what does that say about you to the other guys? Like, you're saying something about yourself from people's perspective, both from the perspective of the other guys listening, but also from your own perspective. You're like saying something about yourself and how you think. So like, I think they're just not prepared for those exercises when they come at them of like, well, what would it be like to be in the female position? Because literally they are not prepared, because they are systematically not thinking about things, because to think about those things would imply maybe they're gay, maybe they're, something else is going on. It's kind of like with your mom, of like, she's like not thinking about what you're saying. She's thinking about what should she say as the mother that's correct in response to what you're saying. So like, the guy, like the first thing all these guys are going to do if you start talking about the female perspective in bed is like, who are you, fucking gay? Like, who's fucking thinking about this, right? So the conversation gets shut down for everybody instantly. So I think that's a big part of this. Is like, it's not that guys can't and that they don't. It's like a lot of gay guys do, but it's like, it's more like you don't express these thoughts out loud, and so guys as a whole aren't ready to think these thoughts themselves, because they haven't been in a place where thinking them at all is okay. Like, whereas women, like, you can talk about this stuff. Like, what would it be like to have different positions in the bedroom? Like, because they're thinking about that as like a practical question of like what that is for them. So there's like a, and again, it's like almost like they can only go up in terms of the, it's like for guys who imagine different positions in bedrooms, they imagine doing different things or being in different positions that maybe they don't want to imagine. They don't want to think those thoughts about themselves. They don't want to express those thoughts to other people. So it's kind of a trapping thing, I think, for that type of question, specifically on sex. Like, I think guys, I don't know, but I think that's all homophobia a little bit. It's like all anti-gay stuff there. Big picture of like why guys are so afraid to say those things or have those thoughts. Because again, it's weird. It's like, yeah, sex isn't just the missionary position. So you'd imagine you have thoughts of like what the different types of sex you could have are, so, and I think now it might be a little bit different, but I bet a lot of pornography type standards would be reflected if they were to do that question now in these days. I'd assume that both guys and girls would kind of describe it in the very pornographic way that they're kind of shown on the internet.
Yes.
I don't know.
And how long ago was the study that you sent me?
Oh, so this was done in the 80s. This was done. I sent you, is like 1982 or something. It might have been published in 82. It might have been done in 82. Might have been published in 84. It was done in 82. Do you know what I mean? But the article I sent you was from like 1984. So I think it was 1982 is when the study was done. But there have been replications of this study, and it's the same kind of pattern throughout literally decades. Like, I found different studies that it took place more recently, and it's the same thing where the women see a lot of benefit and really enjoy imagining what it would like to be a guy, and the men see it as like an attack on themselves and a thing they just are like, I definitely want to avoid being in that position of waking up as a woman. Like, that's the thing I would not want to do, right? So I don't want to think about that. And the extent that I do think about it, I'm gonna really not, imagine that. I'm gonna just imagine what like someone would say, or like make jokes about it, or like dismiss it in some way, so that
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to think about it or be seen as a person who cares about this thing. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
because you're in a
It's so
classroom.
pathetic.
You're not just
Mm-hmm.
alone in a room thinking about this stuff. You're with a sympathetic adult. You're like around a bunch of other people, and you don't want to come across a certain way as like the kind of guy who can really think about the women's perspective. Like, wow, great essay you wrote about wearing a dress, bro. Like it could be a thing that people think about avoiding being bullied, in school contexts. Like they think about that. So
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's really sad. Um, and uh, and I bet a lot of that has to do also with how masculinity is also defined by how you're
power,
not a woman.
yeah, and dominance, not being a woman,
Mm. That's the
not being
saddest
dominated.
thing to me when the sort of force field that exists around women's stuff is because there's such a stark all the way masculinity is defined is so starkly um, in opposition to what women do. So if you do any of those activities, then you are less masculine. It's a really fucking stupid way to
Or
define it.
if you do an activity bad, you're less masculine. Like in sports, I remember this was a big thing. And like sports,
Mm-hmm.
like being told you did something like a girl is like you did that
Mm-hmm.
wrong. You did that with not enough strength. You did that like
Mm-hmm.
incorrectly. Like that was a shorthand for bro's throwing like a girl out here. It's like it
Mm-hmm.
meant specific things in terms of they're not throwing hard enough. They're not like,
Mm-hmm.
doing what they should in the baseball game. But it's also there's this layer of like, since you did it bad, you did it about as good as a girl could. And like
Mm-hmm.
you told me this before about how like the idea of losing to a girl is something that
Mm-hmm.
you've dealt with as and kind of struggle with is like, and like why should, like as you said, skill doesn't discriminate. I remember you telling me this, like skill doesn't
Mm-hmm.
discriminate between like what a gender is on like a DS or something. But like the
Mm-hmm.
idea of like, oh, a girl is doing something and beating at a thing, like that's like way more devastating than like a guy at the same age doing it better. Like, that's not,
Mm-hmm.
they're not even close to the same thing. And like the guy doing the thing better, he's doing
Mm-hmm.
like a guy, and the guy doing things worse is doing like a girl. So I think there's a weird, it's even like tied up to like the way we describe people in sports too, like in the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely not good. So when I always hear the conversation in terms of redefining masculinity or whatever, there is that sort of instinct I have, which is I don't even really care about this sort of thing. At least it has no
Yeah.
service to me. But maybe I understand that on a very different level of this, just the way I can conceptualize my identity, because um, this religious lady, sorry, not this lady that she used to be Mormon or whatever, but she's an atheist, and she has autism, and so a lot of us perspectives come from that. And she's sort of talking about just because she just talks about the autistic experience in general, or happens to touch upon the autistic experience in general, and a gender identity being way different under if you have autism. I wonder if also I'm just going to be off the norm there.
Yeah, I think so for me too. I like the ADHD autism thing is like a big, I think it's part of why like I just have never thought the idea of like being, it just, the people that are saying being like a man to me were also the
Mm-hmm.
people jumping off of cliffs into the ocean and like fucking up their leg. Like I never saw them as like an example of thought that I wanted to emulate. So and I've always liked, yeah, again, it's, I think it's a neurodiverse thing too, of like why there's
Mm-hmm.
certain, you know, and I've noticed with like a lot of the like lesbian or like semi-autistic like
Mm-hmm.
you know, book creators, I think they have a similar approach too, of like very end outcome focused, of like, people are like, oh, it's not about the journey, it's about the it's not about the destination, it's about the journey, and like
Mm-hmm.
for me it's also like about the destination. Like it's
Okay.
also both,
Yeah.
you know so I don't know, like that's always how I feel like normal people don't have that same like it's both. It's like, well, obviously both matter to me, the outcome actually matters the most, but the journey is
Mm-hmm.
also clearly important. But like that mindset just doesn't, I think, exist as much for normal people. It's very much like, I'm doing this because I want to, because I enjoy, and they don't really question like, well, why do I want to in the first place? Like, what does it mean for me to do this? They just like do it
Mm-hmm.
because it's fun, it feels good.
Mm-hmm. Curious.
Yeah, very very suspiciously structured system.
Mm-hmm. I wonder in terms of, I mean, I'm not really
Like with
that
gender
invested.
identity too, it's like, yeah, like why, like people think about this with like, oh, why would you think about this? It's like, to me it's more about like how our behavior is structured. And I think I remember Tricky saying this to you and like at one point during a conversation I happened to tune into, which was like,
Mhm.
you're an agency focused person. Like you really care about what we can and can't do, and what we do and don't do, and what we like are encouraged to do and not do. And like you really like. So I think the gender fits in with that really well. Like I think it actually does for you specifically, and your interests have a lot of relevance of like the way that it traps and prevents, or also encourages and discourages certain things.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely that is my big thing against it, which is I don't want to be I want to have my pink fat DS. I didn't even like pink, by the way. I just happened to have it because we were poor and I was the only one on eBay because nobody wanted
Right.
it. And it was the old DS too, so there's sort of like a poverty thing with it too. And so yeah, because everyone had a DS Lite and I had a that DS, which was actually looked way cooler, and the pink DS actually looked way cooler. And looking back on it now, and I wish I still had it. But yeah, the lack of sort of there is a lack of agency when there's a. Obviously I use the analogy of the or the metaphor of the alien. It's actually interesting in that. I don't care what the fuck it is actually. It's or how you want to specifically describe it, but it's the alien coming in and going into a shop and saying, you know, why is there a force field around certain things? Isn't that really fucking stupid? And you know, so-called free will believers, you know, telling me about free will and then having a force field around, you know, particular things. But then if you take, you know, this person of the same gender from a different point in time and a different place in time, it doesn't even have to be a different place in time. It could just be a different point in time. And suddenly they're okay with, you know, wearing leggings and stuff, you know, a la you know, the French court, blah blah blah. And sort of masculine standards of that time. It's real fucking funny. It's real curious how
Well, that's my exact interest too. Like that's why I focus so much on conspiracy theories or questions of knowledge, because the idea of me being told ahead of time, like, yeah, by the way, this thought, don't want to look at this. Like, this is one of those thoughts that you really don't want to have, and like to have it means that you are a type of person that's dumb, irrational, paranoid, all these sort of things. And then me to see a consistent pattern where those exact claims are made against beliefs that in the end actually ended up being true, and the reasons they weren't believed were literally just it's not helpful for those in power if we believe it. Not that it's not true, just that it's not helpful for their interests. And then realizing that the idea of a conspiracy theory is a selectively applied concept. Like my dad used to tell me, he's like, the official explanation of JFK is a conspiracy theory. It's a theory of a conspiracy of different people doing, or like the official explanation of 9/11 is like a conspiracy theory. It's a theory of a conspiracy of certain people to blow up like the towers. Like it's like they're all conspiracy theories. Like all crime is a matter of a conspiracy theory and a claim of different people being involved. Like the idea that that's a thing that only dumb people do, or you know, another example, conspiracy is a legal thing. It's an actual law. You can be charged with conspiracy. You can be you know, that's a thing that you can prove that has taken place either in evidentiary courts or not. So realizing that there's these force fields put around topics that exists for different reasons. Like it's not that everything called a conspiracy theory is a true thing that's being covered up. That's the wrong way to look at it. It's more that the topics themselves are avoided of critical examination by people who are like academics by first labeling all of it a conspiracy theory. Like that label encapsulates both the belief that, you know, certain, you know, QAnon stuff and also the Epstein stuff. Like the idea of the QAnon conspiracy theory encapsulated both Epstein and beliefs that there being pizza shops where children are sold. Like those are not the same level of analysis or belief. But if you can have both of those be considered the same thing, you can create a false equivalence which removes the ability to look at it. So if you can make the idea of having a pink DS the equal of I am now a girl, then you can make men do certain behaviors and not other behaviors. Do you know? It's like, to me, it's like very much the same thing. It's governance, governing, behavioral control, that kind of thing. It's very much all the same thing. Kind of how we're taught to view certain things, and that's why like attention and perspective is all so important to study. Like how we produce certain types of attention, how we believe certain things are cool, how we believe certain things are true, false. All this is super important if you want to understand the world.
Okay.
Because like we're supposed to both believe that like we can build a base on Mars and colonize Mars, but also not believe other things because they're not realistic. Like that certain things happen because, well, that's just not realistic or practical to believe that happened. But we're also supposed to believe that like we're gonna go and build a base in the moon like soon, like really soon. So like there are things that we're supposed to believe that are fantastic that are actually not true, that are meant to do certain things like that are different. Like we're supposed to be actually developing rocket technology. We want to be, in the new Cold War, having better satellite launches and satellite systems. It's all about actually just controlling the orbit of space. But we're supposed to believe that this is actually about going off and colonizing other planets. Do you know what I mean? That's like what we're supposed to believe. So these beliefs exist for purposes. Like when we're supposed to believe that certain things if you talk about that, you're pretty wacky. That's useful for those who want to get away with crimes. Like it's useful for those who want to get away with crimes to label the looking at their crimes as like crazy to do. Like, So the usefulness or non-usefulness of beliefs for different groups is like so important to study. I don't know.
I wonder what the gender. Not to say this is hyper curated, but I wonder what the gender thing is. What if it even was meant to serve a purpose, which is
Well, it was. I mean, in think about shops at the beginning. There's girls' clothes and boys' clothes. There's girls' toys and boys' toys. There's categorical products that are different for different genders. And so if you fit in, you have to pick which gender. Like that's why there's an interesting thing with the trans thing, where it's like a lot of companies are super okay with that because that just means that you're switching from the boy category to the girl category.
Exactly.
And actually, girls spend a lot of money in the girl category, so it's actually fine. There's a lot of plastic surgeons that exist for this exact reason. It's not, this isn't about like, oh, trans people are actually secret consumer sites. It's just more like things are actually okay from different perspectives. Like there was this idea in the 60s of like racial segregation and integration. So like people in the South were being banned from like certain water fountains, or it was hardcore segregation. But in the North, there are all these college students learning about how shit was in the South that go out and protest. Like they were calling all these businesses in like Berkeley, California, being like, if you don't fucking hire black people, we're going to make sure we never shop there again. And the shops are like, okay, like we'll hire, like that's not a, like, and they'll work for the wages that we were already, yeah, that's fine. Like that's, like they're not like mad they have to hire a new guy, but like, cause it doesn't mean the same thing in Northern California to hire a black guy than it might in the South. It might not mean, it doesn't mean the same thing. In Northern California, it means you're a progressive institution and you care about things and you probably even are charging more money for things. But in the South, it's like you're so poor you can only get black workers. It's a sign of, a sketchy area and a non-reputable business. So it's all like meaning is so culturally specific. And so if you're like a white kid learning about racism in the South and you go out and start protesting racism in the North, assuming it's similarly based, the solutions are going to have no impact because it's a different fucking situation,
Like, but even the what you call it in terms of boys' girls' clothes, outside of the consumerist camp, this has always sort of existed. This dichotomy, and now it's being utilized by companies, and they have a incentive to reinforce these behaviors. This is a dichotomy that always existed. I'm saying on a historical perspective, what is the sort of point? Is it just sort of
training people for roles, specific roles, like making them have certain roles ahead of time in society, like teaching them that what it means to have this role is to do these things, and it's pretty much the same as it's always been. It's just like and it's very class-based too. Like they're like back in the day, differentiation based on gender, like they weren't really, like if you were a worker at like some ceramic or like the match factories back in 1800s England were like the worst places you could work. Like they were the, just this phosphorus fumes, just poisoning kids' lungs. Like they, it's like all just the orphans and the like poor kids that worked there. Like they weren't really caring if you were a fucking girl or a guy doing that job, as long as you were there and your little hands were working, So like there are certain, like it's just, there are points of being in certain classes that like, it doesn't matter. But then at that same time, if you're raised in a British monarchy or some sort of aristocratic family where whether you marry a certain guy is like important for your family, like these things really matter, that you embody the like fertile princess who can like be of use to building a big family for this person you're trying to be married off to. Like for those people, gender relations were extremely important, and like what a person's gender is and like whether they stuck to those norms and behaved as they were supposed to is like super important, because you're making a commitment to another family. Like this daughter of mine is going to do the roles and be of service to you in the ways you expect a woman to be. So they had to train them really young. But like at the same time in England, in these match factories, they didn't give a fuck. Like you come in with dirty rags anyways, whether you got a penis or vagina, it doesn't matter. It's not like until you're probably gonna die soon anyways. Like
with labor, I actually cannot believe because I remember studying this as in actually it was in English. We didn't even study this in history about child labor. But I haven't, in terms of Victorian times and how they're portrayed. Fuck, this must be like a literary thing too, where literary circles and like the extolment of classics. I
Yep.
completely fucking forgot that was a thing. This completely went out of my mind in terms of like, this is how the time period was. Fuck classics. I don't say that in a sort
So true.
of because I don't read them, but in terms of like the extolment of a particular time period and that books were good in this period, and there's probably always really good books that are being written and really important books being written. Shut the fuck up. Um,
It's a marketing thing. Like the idea that professors have this like command over this obscure arcane literature that you don't access, like that's a way they give themselves credibility to tell you how to think. Like this idea that there are these books that are ancient that are hundreds of them that you haven't even read. It's true. But it's also like the idea that they're the most important books is like a method of maintaining cultural power, of being like, well, you can't really be involved in these conversations unless it's all gatekeeping. It's all gatekeeping thought and knowledge and like, and I think people should be expected to read and know things about what they're talking about. But the idea that like in surveillance studies, it's so insane. Everyone reads the same 6 fucking books and comes to the same 6 fucking conclusions. They'll read like the Panopticon by Michel Foucault. They'll like Jeremy Bentham's Panopticon will come from that. They'll read like just that part of Jeremy Bentham's work. Like they'll, talk about like, the slave and chattel, surveillance and worker surveillance, and then they're done. And then like civil rights movements in like the 1950s, and then they're done. They don't talk about anything else in surveillance studies. They don't talk about the development of the technology, cryptography, stuff like that. It's very much a literary attempt that is grounded in like 6 examples. And so to me, that's super pathetic. Like when you actually look at the corpus and these classics, you're like, man, this actually didn't take you that long to read. They're not that good of books. And like, maybe I should be more interested in like the depth of research now rather than relying on like, I hope these books stay relevant forever, because they won't. Like,
Yeah, of course they don't, and it's also very it's, I wouldn't say it like this, but it is a very sort of Western sort of centric. It sort of there are particular languages that are very that people are obsessed with, sort of German, English, and Russian. But there are probably other people that wrote incredibly, good works that we just don't know about because these languages don't have that cultural power to penetrate the sort of mainstream, I guess, like English speaking community. So we're just completely barred from these, and so calling things classics because people just know about them. It's sort of going off of brand recognition. You know what we're talking about.
Yes.
Way earlier. Yeah, I really don't like that. I don't like the brand recognition thing. Fuck that. It's very cringe.
There's literally a thing called Penguin publishing classics.
Penguin,
They have a term. There's the New York Review of Books has a classic section. The London Review of Books has a classic section. This is a brand concept, and again, this is what people don't understand is that you're taught how to think about the objects and how you relate to them. You're taught to think that some books are classics and others aren't. That's like that's a thing you're taught. You're not like, I have ideas of what are classics in my head, but they're classics because of how influential they were to me. They're like classics for me. They're like, oh, that's a classic. Of course I know that. Like anyone who's looked at that topic would know this, like to me, that's how classics works. They aren't a question of like, what is this like this like above the world book that is virtuous and brilliant. Like, let's see this, like there's a guy, Oxford. Oh, these should be so long since AC Grayling. But this is like the guy that everyone wants to be taught by, is like a guy who looks like this at like, like Oxford or something. They want a guy who looks like this to teach them philosophy, and it's a 4-year course where they learn what's moral and good, and now they know. and now they can tell other people what's moral and good because they studied philosophy at Oxford, right? And then it's like, to me, I listened to this guy talk, like, to this, like, the most boring lecture I ever fucking heard. He's just saying things that were obvious to me when I was like 14. I'm like, this is like a lot of my experience has been like, an Oxford lecture, Oxford University of Moral Philosophy. Like, this is a secret. Whoa, this guy speaks so eloquently and so precise. And then you get through the whole lecture and you listen to all, like, the fuck did I just read? Like, what the fuck was this? Like, this taught me nothing. This was just a constant building of things that I thought were very obvious and clear to other people. And supposedly it's this great revelation to a lot of people. And it's just, I don't know. So again, when I it's like that Rick and Morty quote of like, I've seen what makes you cheer. I don't care about your booze. It's like, it's the same thing with this. Like, I've seen what makes people, like, what a classic is to some people. You know, I'm not worrying about it. You know, I came across this one booktuber. He says he only reads books that win like Pulitzer prizes. Like, that's how he decides what books he's going to read, is finds whatever category he wants to read and then the Pulitzer prize winning book of that year. And he's like, you know, it's going to be good because it has a Pulitzer. Like, he says that. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm like, that's how you approach reading? I'm like, that's insane. That's like the least agency I've ever heard. Let me get the one with the shiniest star.
Yeah.
How do you know it's the one? It's well, it wouldn't have a shiny star if it wasn't good. It's like this. This is a himbo. This is a male him. This is a himbo. This is
so what's that? What's a himbo? What that is?
I just a slur for a dumb gay, like, gay guy. Kind of. It's like a.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You said a guy himbo.
Yeah. It was redundant. Sorry, but yeah, like that's that's
Right,
just
so
a
what's the
fucking
go
guy.
tone?
It's just a fucking himbo. You know, it's just.
Chimbo? What's the go tone?
Just like a bimbo, like a male, like a female bimbo.
Oh, bimbo. Right? Yeah, I know a bimbo. Fuck, I didn't know it was a reference to that. Oh, okay.
yeah. It's just a sexist. Like, it's but when I was a kid, I used to get so pissed at this. I had this second grade teacher, Miss Kennedy, and she had this there's like, okay, are we gonna learn about medieval history or women's history? And I remember looking around, and all of us voted, medieval history. We're like, what, fucking knights and dragons? It's fucking sick. Like, let's learn about that. And the guys outnumber the girls. And then she was like, okay, we're going to learn about women's history, kind of. And I was pissed about that because I'm like, I know that was a rigged vote, But
she was talking about dichotomy. That's what I don't understand.
Wait, what?
I said, why would she create a false dichotomy in terms of...
Oh, because she wanted this to be a class selection, but she was going to teach women's history no matter what. She wanted this, like, to see how we'd vote kind of thing. It was like a way for her to, like, test, like, it was a interesting thing.
No, but what I'm saying in terms of a curriculum, on a curriculum level, why create a false dichotomy in terms of medieval history, women's history, in terms of...
Oh, because it was second grade. It was a tiny, it's not, like,
yeah,
it's like there's no real curriculum, It's
yeah,
like,
no, that's a problem.
Yeah, it is. I agree. It should be. It's like, I think they should be coinciding. I mean, obviously, women's history is also medieval history. They're all like, women have been here forever. I mean, it's not like a,
So I'm learning about the Ottoman Empire, but then I'm not learning about, the... Yeah, this doesn't make any sense, right?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. There's no, that's not real history, right? So I think but it was also just, I think, a way, like, kind of the same way of like, oh, imagine yourself if you grew up as a woman. Like, I think she was just doing that same kind of thing of like testing her classes, kind of, Santa Cruz, it's like, this is a very liberal place. So it's like, she was just kind of seeing the reactions of the men and women, or like the boys and girls in her classroom to like these two ideas, But I remember being pissed about it because I was like, bro, that's not what we voted for. I was like, it was like a different level. I was like, we voted on the other thing. I was like, telling them all about it and stuff. But yeah, like, obviously, I don't know. I think the force field thing is super key for so many things. Like, there's so many force fields around so many things.
Yeah, and I don't like it too. The gender one is probably something that I'm a little bit more on now, but fuck, I died. Fuck.
Oh, around
18. Yeah,
it's tough.
Yeah, it's
tough for you guys, for you to get past 18, I mean, some of us just get 19. Some of us can just get there. It can just happen. It's easy, in fact. Even though you played totally different standards. Like, I literally had 3 quick rides to get to 19 that game. Like, I was like, hey,
right. Yeah. I'm a bot.
Yeah, bot mode.
But I wonder how that's going to apply to, not like it's... I shouldn't think about it in terms of, oh yeah, I'm applying to, or I'm applying an idea to, what would you call it? It's just not useful for me to try and, I should get ideas from the idea itself, not from, oh, I need to apply my lens onto something. I was already being critical of that, so I don't know why I said it like that. But on bureaucracy in the room because it's such a blind spot for me. I am actually very intrigued to read about that and what other topics are even in the essay anyway. All the
Well, I mean, he
collection of
talks about the
essays.
idea in anthropology of like, like we spend all this time. So in anthropology, there's like this thing called like a deep reading. So like, there's like, a famous book that's like 1,000 pages on like a 3-day Mexican cockfight, and just all the things that go into it, like the personalities of the people involved, how they're reflected in the birds, the different like techniques involved in bird fighting, the like lineages. It's like not just this bird against this bird. It's like these birds have been fighting for generations. You know what I mean? Like it's breeders that have been doing this is their thing. Is like we're the family. Like 100 years ago we had the champion chicken, and that was my grandfather, and like this guy is the like descendant, of the. So there's just all these things that go into it. But then this guy's whole point, David Graeber's whole point on bureaucracy, is that we do this for like things like this, but like we spend so much of our days dealing with different bureaucratic systems. He's like, there's not good anthropological work on like that, as like, because again, we're all blind to the world that we're born into. So there's all this like deep investigation of all these like abstract kind of foreign sounding concepts like Mexican cockfighting. But then like the things that we experience on a day-to-day basis, like bureaucracies, they're just not thought about and approached and analyzed with enough depth and care, because it's just something we see as like that's just water. Like we're just in. You ask the fish like, is this how's the water? And it's like, what water? It's like it's the exact same.
How's the air?
How's the air? It's like what we mean. It's like it's, in California, bad actually. Anyway.
I did not know about that. I thought you would have way better.
No, just because the fires. It's fire season over the summer, so there's a lot of bad air. Yeah.
What'd you do to? Do you just have air filters or something?
Okay. Air filters. Know when to close the window. Know when to open the window. Like, like I have like a air. There's like different. People have set up different like air monitoring stations around my town, and so you can basically like the fact of like you can see how that air monitor, like what it's telling you about like the air conditions in particular amount, and so that's sick. Just stuff like that basically. But I'm not on the level of needing the like air pack, like the pump or whatever that they have in China for like over your face, like the canned air.
Oh yeah. Fucking hell. That's what I expect out of a liberal place. Just put a mask on.
Yeah.
That's
it's so funny how that's also connected to politics here, but in like Asia, there's not a connection of politics to masks. Like here, there is.
Just about to say that. Yeah, that's really fucking stupid.
Because it's advertising, because it's meaning making, because we've been told that there's things that make you a certain person by wearing certain things like masks. But in those countries, they were not told wearing a mask or not wearing a mask is like a thing that tells you things about yourself. It is just you wear the mask when you're sick, and you wear the mask if you don't want to get sick, and that's it's a tool that you use in that way, and like of course they customize the masks, like there's a whole
I love the mesh
masks.
Like,
yeah, those are so funny. Those are so funny.
Yeah,
my favorite ones. I love.
There was the lady in the library, and she has a mesh mask, and oh my god. I mean, I would expect that. I would expect what'd you call this? Really unfortunate, because it is cool. It is cool, but it's just pretty stupid. But I like how women are more willing to customize things. But yeah, maybe that customization just goes in a direction that's just completely fucking worthless. Tell Narash to release a reading list for us. Somebody said in my chat. Narash, correct?
On what?
I don't know.
No, it's just in general.
General reading list, yeah. He said he wants to correct.
I have. I had this like list I made, I think, for the books that I read. Fuck is it? Oh, I thought this was funny too, by the way. This is an article. It's called it's like one of those like annoying paywall articles, but I have the like premium RSS. So anyway, but
Yeah, yeah.
the Microsoft wants to make people addicted to its new AI assistant, and it's like talking about plans to make people like addicted to the process of using AI. It's really
Oh, right.
productive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, just kind of connect to the whole product cycle thing and all that stuff.
Mhm. I completely forgot about AI in terms of the conversations. Yeah, I couldn't be, at least for me, the conversation I've heard about them really, really fucking boring. I don't want to hear about, I don't want to have, I don't want to watch a YouTube. That's just a delivery for
Commercial.
a TikTok. Oh my god, I had it was exactly what I always talk about. Well, the specific example I use, it's actually so funny. Listen to this. So it was an Ashley Embers video, and it was a series of TikToks talking about women talking about how they're teaching jobs, or that people are getting dumber. Or kids at Gen Alpha again, dumb, which is really funny because I always use her as an example. I always use TikTok delivery as an example, and I always use as like really shitty anecdotes to sort of it vaguely matches with the data, so that's what's happening. So it's just like a vibes thing, not like a specific where is this happening and blah blah blah, like an actual fucking investigation on who is this affecting, how is this happening, where is this not happening, blah blah blah, like an actual fucking investigation. It's just like a vibes thing of them sort of relaying a bunch of bullshit TikTok information, and it's the same. What do you call it? The primary school teachers or elementary school teachers talking about their real tough experience. It's the exact stereotype that I always talk about. It's the same YouTuber, it's the same TikTok bullshit, and it's about the same topic. How the fuck did that happen? How did I get the stereotype in my chat room?
I think because that stereotype is a very effective YouTuber at producing content that the algorithm likes. So it's like this feedback system of like, well, that is a type of, it's like a build that is rewarded. It's like a meta that gets rewarded. And so you see, because again, reacting to stuff is always easier than producing stuff. So it's just this, it's like an incentive structure thing. It's like that Dark Viper AU thing that we talked, remember like that video, that manifesto Dark Viper AU made about like stealing content, reaction content. Like,
you just cut out.
Oh no! I mean I don't remember that. Like he was saying that, it's just cheaper to react to content. Like it's just cheaper to react to it than make it. So
yeah, exactly.
I think it's the same.
It's a faster production cycle too.
Yeah.
And no one just learned that thing. Right, hold on. So what did you link me? Okay, so I'll link it in show. Wait, is this the thing? Is this the thing? The books.
Okay.
I read it.
This is for 2023 or 2024. I don't know. It was some random. It's books I read. Books I liked. I gotta go to the store. My mom just knocked on my door. I gotta go to the store. Gotta drive around. Gotta go do a big shopping load.
Okay. Yeah.
Our last attempt failed for various reasons, but yeah. So gotta go do that right now. I will talk to you later. Really good.
Yeah. Stay safe.
All right. See you.
Let me put some music on. What did you say, Stuff? You have to play Infinite Subway. Wait, did I even read that? I'm zoning out. I have to play Infinite Subway Surfers while you're teaching the kids to lock in. Yeah. No thanks. How's it working? Oh, actually, I'm gonna get off after this skin. Or after... No, it's around 11, it's not around 10. It's been a really long fucking night. Should have kept that guy in the window and then naded. Nice. How did I not get that? Bomb. What? Oh my god. Alright, that's it. I have so much shit that I need to do when it's already midnight. Oh, crash. Oh wait, I can adjust the size of the window? What the fuck? I didn't even know that. Well, did I not? Look like I can. I'm curious, can I? No, doesn't look like it. Okay, good. Hopefully not. Don't want my resolution to be fucked up.